Pressure on the administration is unemployment in the U.S. President Obama is set to reveal his much-anticipated jobs plan later this week. So what needs to be done to boost jobs and restore confidence? Joining us now is Lance Roberts, chief economist at Street Talk Advisors. We also have Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. When I look at those numbers, I just think, wow, the quicksand, we're sort of sinking into it. I don't know what kind of number we can put up in the second quarter. Mark, what do you think? I know you're looking at 1.4. Doesn't that feel optimistic right now?
Well, I think it's realistic. Even with the bad jobs number, hours worked is up close to 0.5%. You throw in some productivity growth, say 1%, and that's how you get to my forecast of
about 1.4%. Is that for the third quarter or the whole second half, or that 1.4 is for what?
That's for Q3. I do expect better numbers in Q4. So for the second half of the year, something south of 2% annualized, which is clearly better than recession, but that's well below what you need to maintain a stable rate of unemployment. So, a far cry from what we need.
Lance, does that feel really optimistic after last Friday's big zero?
Yeah, it does a little bit, and I'm kind of expecting closer to 1%. And the reason is that we run a composite index in our firm of all the employment components of the different regional manufacturing indexes, ISM, and just like Steve Leisman was saying a minute ago, employment down in the manufacturing and in the services indexes of the ISM. Those are now at levels that have always indicated a recessionary spat within the next 6 to 9 months. So I would expect slower economic growth over the next 3 to 6 months.
Mark Zandi, what, if anything, do you think, in terms of a jobs program, Republicans and Democrats could agree upon?
I think more tax cuts. I think extending the current payroll tax holiday is a pretty straightforward thing to do, and I think there's bipartisan support for that. And I think if the president comes forward with more tax cuts on the employer side, maybe a jobs tax credit or expanding the payroll tax cut to employers more broadly, I think there can be some support for that, and I think that would be helpful. In fact, I think it's necessary. Without it, you don't get the kind of forecast that I expect later this year and into 2012.
Steve, fix it. I know you can do it. How do we fix this? And we're not even going to hold you to things that both sides can agree on. Just what should we do?
Well, I would like a little more information on what's going on at the state and local level. I want to know where they are in the process of getting down to a level that their budgets can support. And I also want to know if the layoffs that they're currently taking place, I think I counted something like 340,000 fewer state and local employees in the last year. I want to know if that is something that's going to detract from growth. Does it make it harder for businesses to do their business with fewer state and local workers? If that's the case, then I would support renewing.
You think hiring government workers is going to grow jobs in the long term?
Be careful what I'm saying here.
Okay.
What we've seen, Melissa,
straighten me out.
If you look at what they did to the July report, they revised downward state and local employment by 71,000 fewer jobs, or total government by 71,000 fewer jobs. We had 17,000 come off. We've had 340,000 in the past year fewer state and local jobs. What I want to know is, does that actually hurt growth, getting rid of it? What I've not seen, Melissa, is the public sector get out of the way and the private sector step in. It's not entirely clear to me that these state and local government cuts are really hurting business, and in fact may actually be hurting business.
Quick last word before we go. How would you fix it?
Just very quickly, I am a small business owner. I create jobs, and uncertainty, excess regulations, there's 4,000 new regulations in the pipeline. I don't know how to deal with that as a small business owner. Tax cuts that are temporary don't help me for long-term planning. When I hire an employee, it's for the long term. So I need to have clarity going forward, not more uncertainty about deficit fighting, unnecessary regulations, these type of things. They all keep me from hiring an employee for my business.
So, Lance, more government workers, maybe more people doing regulation would not help things in your opinion?
It does not help. Look, we're in a balance sheet recession for the first time since the Depression. We have got to get things back to a level where businesses and consumers can operate together.
That's not what I was saying. Government workers give businesses permits to do business. They do licensing. They teach children.
Lance, do you agree with that? You would know better than I.
What do you mean, do you agree? That's what they do, Melissa.
Lance?
Well, the problem with government jobs is that the net impact back to the economy is near zero. Small businesses actually create the most productive jobs that are out there. And the one thing we've got to return back to are jobs that have a big multiplier effect.
Go overseas to places that don't have government and see how that helps. So go to overseas to places where you have to bribe to get a permit or a license and see how great business is over there, Lance.
Steve, the problem is, though, is that by shipping all of our manufacturing jobs overseas is the problem here. I have a manufacturing company that produces technology. I have to have it manufactured overseas because the regulations and cost here are too prohibitive to have it manufactured in the United States. That's a problem, Steve.
Okay.
I agree.
All right, guys, I think you both make great points. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate the debate. Thanks, everyone. And Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney out with his jobs plan.